Now, I have the Eighth Amendment here, and this is very interesting. The Eighth Amendment comes in a couple parts. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed. So no excessive bail, and no excessive fines. Like if you're caught speeding, you can't be charged $1,000 going 2 miles over the limit. That's excessive. What is bail? When do they give it? Do they have the right to take it away?
Yeah,
Is it a risk? And if you can't get bail, you go to a bail bondsman. And what does a bail bondsman require you to do?
collateral.
You have to give, if you have $25,000 bail, you have to come up with $2,500. And it could be in real estate, jewelry, cash. And if you come up with $2,500, if they allow you to get bail, but the judge can also remand you into custody if they feel you're a danger to society. So let's suppose a guy is accused of a triple homicide. The judge will never give that guy bail. He'll say you're remanded until your trial. So he stays, if it's in New York, Rikers Island or the Tombs, and he'll stay there until he can get a trial date. And sometimes he stays there 2 years, a year and a half, and a judge can deny you bail. And if you break your bail agreement, if you flee, you forfeit all your money, and an automatic bench warrant is put out for you, and your bail's revoked. And you go, if they catch you, you go back. And you hear of jumping bail and bounty hunters.
Dogs, bounty hunters.
Yeah.
Like Dog the Bounty Hunter? What is a bounty hunter?
Somebody who goes out and looks for people who have jumped bail
And what
Skip tracer.
and what do they get?
or escaped.
And what do they get?
You get paid. They get a percentage, don't they, of the bail from the bail bondsman?
I believe that if a guy is given bail and he skips because he knows he's going to get convicted, and he figures, look, they're not going to really look for me, and he goes by bus and he stays under the radar, and he has means to get fake ID, and he travels, say, across the country, and somebody will send a bounty hunter after him. And a bounty hunter is like a detective, but they have certain rights that can be very excessive. And sometimes the bounty hunter, they're not allowed to use a gun, but I believe they're allowed to use stun guns. And they're allowed, when I watch Dog the Bounty Hunter every now and then, they have all these type of materials, like sprays, like mace, and things like that to subdue somebody. And they have elaborate plans if they know they get a tip that somebody's holed up in a house. They surround the house, and they go and catch the guy. Sometimes they can talk him into giving up, but most of the time they have to wrestle him to the ground and literally take him back to the jurisdiction that he was convicted in. Now, no cruel and unusual punishment. Like I told you, when that lady slapped me, it was cruel and unusual. Yeah, I screwed around and I made fun of her, but that was excessive treatment. I could have been given detention, stay after school, write 1,000 times, I will not do that again, which you're not allowed to do anymore. My principal forbade it. He said, there's no educational value in making a kid do that. It's punitive, and it's cruel and unusual. He was very big on the Constitution. And now it's rare that you see a teacher. A principal won't put up with that, especially the new way of teaching now. And especially with computers in the room, and the children have such rights. When I started teaching, it was, basically, the teacher was in charge, but if the teacher was wrong, the principal would reprimand him, or there could be something in his file. But as time went on, the parents, especially if you had a principal that wanted to placate the parents, especially if they were rich and they were white. And I had a kid, my last year of teaching, they made the kid go into the honors class, and believe me, he was no honors student. He was a good student, but he was just like above average. So he gives me a report, and it's right off the internet, because I gave them a paper, I forgot what it was on. And he's smiling, and he comes up, and he gives me this report, and he hands it to me, and I look at it, and it's all this sophisticated language, and this kid's name was Kenneth. So I said, Ken, what does this mean? He had no idea. So I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I won't give you an F. I'll give you 3 days to write me a report in your words. You can use your internet to fact check, but I can't give you an A. The punishment is you have to suffer a grade loss. I thought that was fair. This was 9 o'clock. By 12 o'clock, his mother was in the principal's office. They called me in, and we had a new principal who only wanted to cater to the parents. So she told me that I had to give him an A. I had to reinstate the policy where I'd have to give him an A. I said, then you grade him. And I threw the paper and walked out. I had tenure. What could they do to me? They made my life miserable. That's what they did to me. So the principal, I said to her, I don't agree with the way you run the school. I said, you're a nice lady. And she was very bright. But she was a terrible principal. And the thing that bothered me, and she was a beautiful African-American lady, gorgeous, classy. She had a gorgeous car, dressed beautifully. She had a real expensive taste. You know, she always went on great vacations. She was a divorced woman, had twins that were in their 30s, had great jobs. And she was very, very bright. She really was. Now, the assistant principal, he was also African American. And he never made any bones about the fact that blacks were oppressed. But he was good to the white teachers that were good. I mean, he never held your race against you if you did a good job. So he was in charge of the history department. He didn't know anything. The teachers, when he went for his master's degree, we wrote his papers for him. And he said, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. And that's the politics of being a teacher in the modern day. And when O.J. Simpson's trial, when it came to the announcement, she put a TV in every room. And I called her and said, you're taking teaching time away. Call an assembly at the end of the day and, show it, 7th and 8th period and let the kids go early. She made us stop teaching, look at the thing, at the television monitor, and when they said that he was innocent, it was immediate polarization in the school. All the black kids said hooray, all the white kids said foul. So what she did was really polarize the school by doing that. And I was walking down the hall, going to the office, and I saw her and the assistant principal embracing. And the kids were there watching this. So I thought this was horrible. I didn't care if you were black or white, it didn't matter. Race didn't matter. It was the actions that mattered. I decided then, I've had it. I wasn't married. I didn't know any money. I, was pretty secure. I said, after 30 years, I had enough. I still taught college. And I said, I'm almost done with that too. I think I taught another year or two, and then I packed it in. So I said, look, you had a 30-year career. I could have gone 37 years and got the highest pension, but at 30 years, you got a pretty good pension. And I said, I can live with this. But I can't live with this new way of teaching. She made us put all the chairs in a circle, and the kids would have individual projects going on at the same time, and you had to grade them and help them. It was not like, I used to have the rows, but I was very crafty. If I gave a test, I would give one test, 1 through 25, and in the second row, 25 through 1, so they couldn't cheat. If a kid passed a note, I would never read it out loud to embarrass a kid. I would just throw the note away and say, do me a favor. If you really got to talk to the kid, raise your hand, go outside, speak 2 minutes, and come back. I remember when reading about slavery, you had to have a pass to go everywhere. I felt it was so degrading for a kid to have to ask a pass to go to a bathroom. So I had a wooden pass. And I said, if you have to go, just walk in back of the room, do what you got to, don't take advantage, otherwise you're not going to go again. Do what you have to do and come back. Nobody ever took advantage because I was fair. And the teachers hated me. They hated me because I was a maverick. I was some kind of crazy hippie. That's what they called me. And they said, how can you teach that way? I said, all you got to do is be fair. You could be firm. And you always have to negotiate with students. I had a kid that came late every day. And he was a tough kid. And I said to him, look, we have a whole year together. You're not going to come on time. And I'm going to have to make you stay. And you're not going to stay. And I'm going to have to do a lot of paperwork. And we're going to be bitter enemies. So I said, I'll make you a deal. I know you want to talk to your girlfriend 3 lockers down, and you're a couple of seconds late. And they were very tough on that. You had to be on time. So I said, I'll tell you what, run from your last period class to me. I'll give you a pass. And I would say, go to this one and get chalk, or go, but take 1 minute after you talk to the girl. Go and get me paper. And he would come in, and then he was ready to work. And he got to be in the class because I was fair with him, but firm. I said, if you screw me, you're not going to do it again. So there's always negotiations. And I was also a guidance counselor for a while because I was certified in it. And one got pregnant, one resigned. So for 7 or 8 years, a teacher would come in, complain about a kid. The kid would complain about the teacher. And I said to myself, the teacher's going to stay and the kid's going to leave. What do I do? Especially if the teacher's wrong. So I would go to the teacher and say, listen, you got the kid another 6 months. Put him in the back of the room. Give him a home study, whatever you want to give him. Let him, give him something relevant to the course. I mean, don't give him something that's irrelevant. And I would tell the parents, look, the teacher's very difficult. Just work with him. And I would tell the teacher the kid's crazy. So I would play 2 ends against the middle. And that was the only way that I could negotiate in the guidance office. Now, if a teacher was really wrong, I didn't want to send him to the principal. I didn't want to have him as an enemy. I had to work with this guy or this woman. So it's really hard being a guidance counselor. It's not that easy. And if a girl comes to you and says, I'm pregnant, there's confidentiality involved. So you have to encourage her to go to the social worker. So very often, if the kid wouldn't, I would alert the social worker. She would wait a couple days, pass her in the hall a couple times, say hello, get to know her, and then I would say, oh, this is Mrs. So-and-so, social worker, she's really a good person, why don't you, we all sit down and talk to her. Usually it worked, then we would go to the principal, and they told the mother, and then they decided what they would. I never had a kid have an abortion. Every kid had their baby. And I say I had, in my 30 years, 15 pregnancies. Everybody kept their child.